Hello, my fellow Americans. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One. I know it's been a while since I put out any of these videos. Been busy around the ranch. Plus, I just don't want to drone on. I mean, we all see the same news either on TV, on the internet, hear it on the radio. It's just more of the same. But I got an email on one of these subscription lists, and the guy was talking about not feeling guilty because you've made it, because you're successful. And he says, you know, one of the things about being successful is you know, you've got enough clients. So if one client's giving you a problem and they leave you, you don't worry about it. Well, I've had this idea for a video on the list for a long time. I'm not even sure. I may have already mentioned it once before. But the problem with that attitude is basically you're saying you're too big to care. I mean, when you're starting out in business, you care about every customer. You probably go the extra mile, bend over backwards, because you want to survive. But then, I guess if you get big, you get comfortable, you're not hungry anymore, you got a full belly, then you could just, you know, say, who cares? And you see, we talk about companies too big to fail, but the companies are too big to care. I mean, think about it. When you phone a large corporation, chances are you're going to get an automated phone attendant. You are going to have to navigate your way through the maze to talk to a person. And then, when you get the person, they're going to probably ask you a half dozen or more questions just to make sure you are who you say you are. And then, chances are, the phone support has probably been outsourced to India or the Philippines. And you're lucky if the person can understand you and you can understand them. And then finally, the chances of that person who takes your call also has the authority and the discretion to resolve your problem is probably slim and none. Government's the same way. They want you to leave a message. They'll call you back. So you get to play phone tag. They're just all too big to care. You go to City Hall with a complaint, problem. Maybe you come in there not only with the problem, but you've got a solution. You just get pushed aside. Make an appointment. Too big to care. Try talking to your congressman. Too big to care. Go to your school board. Too big to care. See, you, the individual in the United States of America in this year, 2014, nobody cares about you, what your needs are. They might want something from you like your money or your vote, but do they really care about you as an individual? They're too big to care. There you go. I was at Walmart last month, August, and they had I guess you call it a promotion. If you sign up for a credit card, and the first time you use it, you'll get $25 back statement credit if you spend $75 or more. So I know I've got good credit. So at the register, I gave the lady all my information, but then it said you need to call this number. I may have already told you part of this story. I got the Philippines that didn't end well. So needless to say, my credit wasn't issued at the time. Then I think I had to make about 2 or 3 more phone calls. Finally I got through, finally got it resolved, and I received my card in the mail, and they promised me that I would get that statement credit when I use that card for the first time and I spend more than $75. So, I was at Walmart last week. And so I used my Walmart card, and I told the lady, I tried to explain to the cashier, but she didn't want to hear it. She didn't. I said, I think you have to, oh no, you have to do this. I go, well, let me explain. Then she cuts me off again. I said, well, you know what? How about I speak to the manager? Well, the manager was the same way. Too big to care. If I never shopped at Walmart again, it wouldn't matter. Nothing, my not shopping at Walmart does nothing to their statistics. Not a thing. Infinitesimal. Not even measurable. Not a blip on the radar. They don't care. So I called the number on the credit card. I got some guy on the line. He goes, yeah, well, it'll take a cycle or two. In the year 2014, why does anything take a cycle or two when you, the individual, are to get it? Because they're too big to care. You see, if you tried to tell them, well, you know what, I'll do this in a cycle or two, then they're going to want to hit you with all kind of late fees and fines or whatever. Same thing with the government. I made a mistake. I had the wrong address when I sent my tax bill in. I sent it to Portland when it should have went to Coquille. Oh no, you're going to have to pay the fine for paying late. Okay, it's my mistake. I guess I got to pay the fine. And I also lose the discount for paying on time. The whole bill. So, about 6 months later, get this letter in the mail. Oh, the assessor made a mistake in the billing. They overcharged me. So here's a refund. What about the fine? No, they just refund the amount that I overpaid. But what about the fine? It was their error. There's no penalty. They're too big to care. You see, everything's lopsided. It's out of balance. If you think about it, if you have a grievance with the government, you go to them, but you're on their turf. They'll tell you when you can talk. They'll tell you when you better not talk. It doesn't make sense. It's out of balance. Now, if you have a grievance with the government, there should be some place where you meet on equal turf. So there's somebody that's not part of the government that's going to mediate between you and this government official. Now, that's not the way it is. You have a complaint to City Hall, you take it to City Hall, they're too big to care. See, but if you had to go to someplace else, well then it might be a little bit, the outcome might be a little bit different. We the people might win a few more battles if that's the way it was. Just something to think about. But like I said, I haven't really put out many videos because, it's all the same. ISIS. I mean, 10 years ago, where was ISIS? They just make these things up. The war on terror is just such BS. You know it, I know it. There is no war on terror. Wars are between countries, between entities. These, what's it going to be next year? They're going to make up some other group? 1 year they're our ally, the next year they're our enemy, and then they're out. It doesn't make any sense. But what it does is it keeps the military-industrial complex, it keeps those wheels turning. I mean, what was it? How many? 70-some million dollars on that one bombing run over there in Syria? It's just absolutely ridiculous. It's just crazy. And Obama, He's too busy playing golf. And Eric Holder's stepping down. I wonder why. He should be behind bars. You know it. I know it. But you know what? Presidential pardon. Oh, he'll probably get some job as a lobbyist or something. Wind up making lots of money. I mean, the system is so rigged and gamed. It just doesn't make any sense. It just really doesn't. I was talking to a good buddy of mine. Hey, E. Neil, shout out to you. Today on the phone. And we were talking about various things. And he was saying how in his, where he lives, there was some teenager tried to commit suicide by doing an overdose, pills or something. But he wasn't successful, so he went to the hospital. I guess he got his stomach pumped or whatever. Then they released him. So what he did was he called 911 and said there's a crazy guy with a gun in the parking lot. So he goes out in the parking lot and the police pumped 16 bullets into him. And he didn't even have a gun. I mean, this world is just, this country is just out of control. I mean, really, just totally out of control. We're still being spied on, our conversations listened to, our internet searches being captured. They want to put drones in the air. I don't know. If you grew up in the 50s and 60s, the 70s, this is not the America you thought about was going to be like in the 21st century. We were supposed to be like the Jetsons, riding around in cars, you know, in the air. It's nothing like that. I was reading a magazine and it was talking about how during these economic booms, how the rich are just getting richer and the poor, they're not getting nothing. And they want to talk about making taxes fair. These solutions are basically solutions to the wrong problems. And my friend Ernest and I, we were saying about how divided the country is. You know, that we need to be united, because when we're united, we're stronger. But you see, back in the 1700s, they were united, or at least we were told they were united for the cause of liberty. But you got to remember, not everybody wanted to fight against the king. But just enough people did that made the difference. So there was this common thought of freedom and liberty. But we all know that the founding fathers had it a little skewed because it was basically just for men of a certain color. If you were a woman or not that certain color, well then, you know, that's a whole different story. And then I see how some cities, I guess, instead of having Columbus Day, they want to have it Indigenous Peoples Day. They're kind of rewriting history. It's just one big mess. And like I said, you guys know it's a mess. You don't really need to hear me talk about it so much. So, the only thing I really want you to do, my fellow YouTubers, is wake up and smell the tyranny.